Okay, guys, this is not a review that I'm going to do every day on this show, but everyone knows how much I love Total Divas. I love this show. It's so interesting to go behind the scenes and actually see what these girls go through on a daily basis, especially after big events such as WrestleMania. Well, especially WrestleMania or Night of Champions or Extreme Rules. We see exactly what they go through in their everyday lives, especially after really huge events that are kind of either life changing or just something that things that they go through on an everyday basis, and that's what I love about the show. But I just saw season 3 of Total Divas, and there's a few things that bother me, and there's a few things that actually pique my interest. Of course, this is directly after WrestleMania, which really makes me interested in this show because it talks about Daniel Bryan's successes as well as Daniel Bryan's fall, especially what happened with his neck injury and what Brie Bella's gonna be going through later on down the season when Daniel Bryan is out because he actually hurt his neck. And the fact that she did the I Quit episode with Stephanie McMahon knows she's not gonna be working for a while, and them just being newlyweds, what they're gonna be going through in that situation, which makes me pretty interested. Then, of course, you got the whole drama between Nikki and John. And it's a given that, John Cena is dead set on not having kids, but he might be considering marriage, which means that he's definitely changing in a certain aspect. But either or, she's still struggling with the fact of what to do on whether or not she's going to sacrifice kids or whether or not she's going to have an insurance policy. But for those that haven't seen the show, I'm not going to completely spoil it for you. That's something that I want you guys to look at on your own for your own personal interest. And you got Eva Marie, who's actually planning on having her own wedding, but of course she's go through parent dramas because she tries to do everything that she can to make her family happy, even though it causes friction between her and her. Well, it doesn't really cause friction between her and her husband, it just causes conflict. But there's also a life-changing event that makes her reconsider going in a direction of still making her parents happy because of this one event. And I find that sad, but there are some people that are like that. There are some people that go far beyond the Call of Duty to make their family happy, even though making your family happy will make yourselves miserable, but will make you or your significant other miserable, and that's just something that she's going to have to learn on her own. You can't make people happy all the time, but I do like that whole premise, and I do like the fact that a lot of people have gone through that struggle, and I think that's something that people can relate with, or people can relate to her about. And then you got the Funkadactyls. It hasn't necessarily talked about their breakup and their heel turn just yet, but it does bring out conflict. And you actually do see later on down the line that there's going to be conflict behind the scenes between Trinity and also between Ariane. And we all know that Ariane is she starts a lot of crap, and she starts a lot of things going behind the scenes, but you also see that there's going to be a lot of conflict between those two, and it's probably something that they asked to do for them to break up. But then it also talks about Trinity's marriage to one of the Uso brothers, Jimmy Uso, and there's friction between them because Trinity is a very strong-willed woman that does a very strong-willed, independent woman that does things on her own, and somehow she kind of leaves her husband out, and now the whole birth control thing that was still kind of up in the air really does cause a lot of friction down the line between her and Jimmy, and we're going to see that going on. But the most interesting thing about Natalya, and I'm actually shocked there's anything interesting about Natalya because she's as boring can be. But of course, what I can't really say that is really surprising, but there is really huge amounts of tension in her marriage, and it's a possibility that they might be separating. Something I really never thought would happen this early in the game because it seemed like her husband is pretty much sprung on her. But honestly, it's just to the point where I guess he kind of reached his done point, and he's kind of close to being there. And there's a lot of problems in their marriage, according to the show. I don't know what's going on now. And that's something I really never thought that they would actually show and Natalia will allow them to show. But I hate to say it, but that's the only interesting thing about her. But I don't want her marriage to break up. But either or, that's sad if that's the case. But that's one thing that I'm kind of interested in seeing on how that's going to turn out. And then you got the newest person, the two new people on the show. You got Summer Rae, who made her return after filming the Marine 4. And of course, nobody likes her because she can't be trustworthy. And the fact that she would literally cut your throat to get ahead, a lot of people just don't trust her. And she still causes friction with Natalia. And then you got the new chick, Rosa Mendez. Okay, this is a huge problem with me because I forgot that Rosa was actually in rehab. And this is when she just got out of rehab. Why in the world would you put somebody that is fragile? I mean, her psyche is still pretty fragile. Her mind is still pretty fragile. Why would you put her on a reality show full of drama? Not to mention that everybody's talking about you behind your back. You're getting paranoid. You're getting anxious. And the fact that your own company doesn't trust you to where you actually have to have a tag along for a while. The thing is that we all seen in the news, in the papers, that Rosa Mendez has either been arrested for DUI and also had to go through a lot of tribulation with her fiance, abusing her, especially in public. And now that she's completely done with him, she was in a rehab for a while for I think she had issues with alcohol. But either or, she was in rehab for a while and she's just now getting out. So she's kind of sort of on a probationary period by having Natalia to be somewhat of a babysitter, or pretty much just somebody, a monitor, more somebody they want her more as a mentor, but she's a monitor. Let's be real, she's a monitor for her. And seriously, if you really think that somebody coming out of rehab is instantly cured, you're wrong. It's gonna take some time for someone to get to adjust back to life once they leave rehab. And the fact that they actually invited her on the show knowing that she just came out of rehab, in my opinion, was wrong. I'm like, what makes you think that this was a good pick? And not to mention, if you really did believe that she would be okay, then she wouldn't have to have Natalia as a tag along. Well, not even a tag along, just more as a hall monitor, an everyday hall monitor, I guess, if that's the best way of saying it. And I think the whole putting her on there was wrong. I'm sorry, it was. You want everybody to be strong and healthy, fine, whatever. But the thing is that if somebody is just coming out of rehab and just suffering so many physical problems, well, not physical problems, but mental as well as physical, why would you bring them back on a controversial, well, not really controversial, why would you bring them back on a reality show knowing that they're not mentally ready for it? Seriously. It's just something that bothers me. But the thing is that it's up to Rosa. If she actually went to them and be like, look, I want to be on TV. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Can you guys put me there? If she went to them directly and said she wants to come back, that's on her. She made that decision to be on there. But I still think it's wrong. I still don't think it was a good call. And that's just me personally. But then here comes the big kicker. Is that everybody kept believing, and they also really showed a lot on the WWE that everything was so healthy and wonderful and great in paradise between Brie and Daniel Bryan. And I'm not saying that they're going to break up or anything, but of course, newlyweds actually do go through their problems. And it shows that they're like everybody else. So that kind of makes me interested in that aspect. But I will say for my overall thoughts of season 3 and what I'm looking forward to seeing, is that we're going to see some real women. We're going to see some real situations happen. And there's going to be a lot of things that a lot of people can relate to. And it's a really good show. And I think this season's going to be a really good season. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. What about you? Leave a comment in the comment section below. I want to see how you guys feel about Total Divas. Whether or not you like the show. Whether or not you hate it. What part makes you interested in actually watching more? I'm curious to hear what you guys think and whether or not you guys are going to stay tuned to the next season. This is Nature Girl 30 signing off. Peace out, y'all. Later.